If you want to make amazing buns that are going to really set off your barbecue this summer, you've got to try this recipe using your bread machine at home. Stay tuned for this easy bread machine recipe that you can knock out in about 3 hours. For this recipe, you will need all of the liquids have to go in first. Water goes in first, and then we're going to add our melted butter. Next up, we're going to do our sugar. And like I said before in my last video, you want to sprinkle the ingredients so it mixes more evenly. Then we're going to add our salt. And with the egg, the recipe calls for 2 eggs, but what you do is you set aside the milk and the egg for later use, because once the bread has processed and proofed for the first setting in the bread machine, you're going to set it into balls, let it rise again, and then you use this as an egg wash to coat it before you stick on the seeds. So set that aside for later. You're going to take 1 egg, break it, just do a quick little mix so that the yolk is mixed. Doesn't have to be completely beaten, it just needs to be broken apart. Then you're going to add the egg. Then we're going to add our flour as the next ingredient. And then on top and lastly, you're going to add your bread machine yeast. And once you've added all the ingredients, you're going to put your bread machine on cycle 8, which is the dough cycle, or if you have a different bread machine, whatever is the dough cycle, set it to that setting, and then you're going to let it run. The bread machine just finished, and it's been about an hour and a half, but I think I gave it a little extra. I just punched the bread down. And the next step is to take a baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper. And you're just going to line the bottom. And we're going to take our bread dough, which is a little bit sticky. And we're going to pull it out and put it on this pan. So if your dough is too sticky at this point, add a little bit of flour to it and help it not be so sticky. Next step is to take your dough spatula and cut this into slices. Normally I do 8 really big buns because we make pretty large sized burgers and they're really light and fluffy, so they're not going to be too filling, so don't be scared. But if you're going to make sliders, you could obviously do more, make them smaller. What I like to do after I bake them, let them rest for about 20 minutes so they cool completely. And once they're cooled, you can slice them nice and evenly down the middle, place them on the grill for just a few minutes till they get a nice little char, and they are perfection. Try that out. Let me know how it goes. So we're gonna use 8 buns as our example. I'm gonna cut this in half, cut it in half again, and then cut each of those in half evenly. And if you want to use a scale to weigh these out, you can. Same thing for the next side. Cut it in half and cut each of those halves in half. See? So they're all about the same size now. Nice little fluffy clouds, like I like to say. Next step is to do a little kneading. Don't over knead these. They don't need a whole bunch, but you're just going to take them and kind of roll them in on each other like that. If you want to roll them on the table, by all means, you can. But I just like to do them in my hands so they don't get too sticky. Just a few times like that, place it. So just a few times like that. See, like this? Look how soft and fluffy. Fluffy cloud, take it, fold it in. Ta-da! All right, see how easy that was? That took like just a few minutes. Now I'm going to evenly space them on my pan, like that. And I'm going to take my milk, and then I'm going to take my basting brush and baste them in the milk. So you just gave those little baby buns a nice little bath and some lovely milk. Now we're gonna wrap them after we baste them. And I'm just gonna put a little plastic wrap over the top so they don't dry out. And that milk is gonna soak into the rolls and help them be super soft. You guys are gonna die. This bun makes a perfect barbecue style sandwich. So these are gonna rest covered like this, soaking in the milk for about 30 minutes, up to an hour, depending on the size. You want them to get significantly larger before you bake them. In the meantime, we're gonna start the oven at 375 and let that warm up. So it's been about 30 minutes and I think these buns have risen just enough, so we're gonna do the next step. You can see they have a nice jiggle to them. When you jiggle them, they kind of wobble. That's what you want. So we had some milk left over from before, and I'm gonna take my cracked egg and I'm gonna mix that in there with the milk. And I'm gonna make an egg wash. You're gonna take your egg wash and you're gonna brush it over the buns. And this is what's gonna help make your seeds stick. Next, you're gonna take your sesame seeds and you're just gonna sprinkle them over the top. Another really good thing you can use is everything bagel seasoning. That stuff is really good on bread. And if you like that, I recommend you try it out. Last step, we're gonna bake them in the oven for about 17 minutes. So our timer just went off, so we're gonna see how we did. You guys, we did it. I hope your rolls turned out as amazing as these. All that's left to do is cool them off on a rack, slice them in half, serve them up on a sandwich, and enjoy.